Scientists are wondering if last year's record heat is a sign that global warming is accelerating, so much so that it's warming beyond increases in greenhouse gas emissions. Joining us now is Dr. Peter Schlosser from ASU's Julianne Wrigley Global Futures Lab. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, last year was the warmest record on year by far. I mean, every month since June, the warmest on record. What's that telling you?
It's something that actually was to be expected, that we keep warming the planet because we are not taking the actions that would stop warming or would even go into a slight cooling. So from that perspective, it was not surprising. What is a bit surprising is the amount of warming, because the previous record was about 1.02 Celsius, about 2 Fahrenheit, and we wanted to stay actually, according to the Paris Accord, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, we wanted to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now with 1.48, we are pretty much there. And that rapid increase, that was a bit of a surprise. The fact that we are keeping warming, that was to be expected.
So you said it was a bit of a surprise. Was it, what is this? Could it possibly be that the Earth is warming naturally and it's warming because of man behavior and the two are colliding and up it goes?
So what we are seeing in 2023 is somewhat of a combination of anthropogenic effects, putting greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. We also, compared to 22, we had changes in the Pacific where we went from a so-called La Nina state with cold waters on the surface of the Pacific Ocean to an El Nino state where we have warm waters at the surface of the Pacific. So that does lead you to expect that temperature globally is somewhat warmer, but not by that much necessarily. So that it's a combination of increasing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and specifically for 23, the El Nino condition.
Well, the 1.5 level there, I mean, does that need to be changed? Do people need to just adjust the bar now? Because it just seems like that's going to come and go pretty quick.
So for now, I'm convinced that we will pass through 1.5 degrees Celsius. The question is, how close can we stay to it so that eventually we can actually turn that around and can come back to 1.5? We will go into what we call an overshoot period. The question is, how much are we increasing above 1.5 and for how long?
Realistically, what can be done about this? And I mean, like, viability is at play here.
So if you go back about 9 years, 8.5, to Paris, when the so-called Paris Agreement was signed, there was a scenario that was laid out that would have kept us close to 1.5. But what that would have required would have been cutting emissions in half by 2030 and also taking some of the greenhouse gases, mainly carbon dioxide, out of the atmosphere. We did not follow that scenario that was laid out. For that, we are still increasing emissions rather than cutting them. So based on that, of course, we had to expect that we are shooting through 1.5 and then have to deal with that overshoot effect. But in principle, we know what to do to stop global warming. We are just not fast enough in implementing the actions to do it.
Is there a point at which taking those actions too little, too late?
Right now, with the actions we are taking, we are on a trajectory for a 2.5 degrees Celsius, roughly in round numbers, 5 Fahrenheit warming. Now, people might say, what does that mean, right? I mean, daily you have these huge changes between day and night, but that's weather. If you average it and you compare it to a swing between an ice age and a warm period, that was only 5 degrees Celsius. So if we would warm the planet to 2.5 Celsius, which is the trajectory we are on right now, that would be half the amplitude of an ice age to a warm age. We have to keep in mind, during the last ice age, over what is now New York, we had 1 kilometer of ice. So it does matter. Every tenth of a degree warming does matter.
And you mentioned weather, and last question here, because we've seen so much extreme weather across here in Arizona and elsewhere. I mean, this kind of warming, this accelerated warming, does that mean we see more in the way of extreme weather?
We will see more, and that has to be expected because we are going from one climate state to another one, a warmer one, and any complex system, which the weather system is, has these extremes in the transition phase. So again, these extremes had to be expected. The thing that we cannot project or predict exactly is which extremes are occurring exactly when, at which place. But we do know that wildfires will increase, droughts will increase, floods will increase, and so we just have, and tornadoes, hurricanes. So we have to deal with these extremes.
And I would think precipitation as well, because the warm water, you hold vapor and down it comes.
Which leads to floods.
Last question, we're running out of time here, so really quickly here. Are you optimistic?
That depends on the day.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.